Welcome back to James Pigeon. So, as I said in the previous two chapters, I'm working on a book right now, and I'm releasing the chapters as I make them as audiobooks, so listen to the first two first. It's like less than 20 minutes combined, but, here's chapter 3, which I know I'm probably uploading this like less than an hour after I uploaded the chapter 2. That's because I had them both done, but I was too lazy. But now I'm doing them both. So, here's chapter 3. It's a bit longer. So, oh yeah. Chapter 3. Turner's Falls. Psalm. Great Falls. Springfield. Enfield Falls. Hartford. Saybrook. We had been going for a day and a half when we came to Turner's Falls in the northern section of Massachusetts. Not a true waterfall, as the name would suggest, but in reality, a series of shallow rapids and cascades, equal parts lengthy and treacherous. This was not the lackadaisical, wide blue river we were riding on previously, but a roaring, ripping, roiling spot of patches and dashes of white, gray, and yellow. I'm sure, reader, you can imagine my fear at this. There were 5, besides myself, on that boat. The captain, a boy of no more than 16, a rotund white man, an Indian of middling age, and a free black of no more than 25. Anyway, perhaps sensing the sprite of doom in my eyes as we slowly approached the falls, and the sound became louder and louder still, I'd never at this point in my life been in a boat for more than an hour or so. The captain leaned down to me and spoke in an accent I did not recognize. "We'll nae be floating the white water, son, if that's what's such a worried." I didn't say anything. "What's your name anyway, boy? You've been on this gundalo damn near a day and a night, and you hasn't said much anything to anyone." "Sorry, sir," I said. I didn't mean to be rude. "Well," he chortled, bouncing his gray beard up and down with his jaw, "maybe it's for the best you don't associate with the river folk. We certainly ain't some white old Puritans like you're used to up in the grants, you know." I didn't reply. "Talkative lad, ain't ya? Anyhow, I asked your name, and you're still lacking to furnish me with an answer." I wanted nothing more than to be once again alone with my thoughts, however anxious they might have been. "Lazarus Osiris Wicks, sir," I said, and turned away to look at the trees on the shoreline, hoping he'd get the message that I wished to end our little interaction. "Ah, that's a fine name there, Lazarus, that is. If I had a name like that, I wouldn't go around hiding it, you know." I didn't respond. "So, Lazarus, what brings us through down the river, if you don't mind me asking?" "I'm going to stay with my aunt in Saybrook for a while." "Oh, Saybrook, get in line, you know." He ended most sentences with, "you know," although I don't think he was actually asking me a question. "Starts to see that is. Say, Lazar, if I might call you that, what thinkest thou of these hard troubles with the Parliament, you know?" "What's a Parliament?" I asked, thinking that if I feigned idiocy, he might realize I was not worth talking to. "Boy, it really is a proper hickin compared to most of the folk on their boat, though I suppose we get the news rather fast, well, with the coastal profession, you know." I turned away again and stopped listening. Sometime later, we finally came to the portage spot, took the ship and its cargo, furs, flax, and pork, primarily, upon our shoulders, and marched. I laid down in the little boat and let the river rock me to sleep as we drifted south. Rivermen sat asleep beside me in every direction, and next to them barrels and crates of trade goods bound for Springfield. Under the quiet paternal gaze of the Milky Way, I whispered a small psalm I had said many times before, but never had truly recognized the weight of the words. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. The portage over Great Falls was the first time I met George Hay, Jr., my most loyal and consistent companion over these last 5 decades. In fact, reader, he has been my chief confidant on this very volume, and has most assuredly pored over these self-same pages with a pipe in his jaw, to the end of completing his pro bono commission to correct my rather questionable spelling and grammar. Yes, we would prove to be inseparable comrades, but I had some growing up to do first. We were climbing onto the shore, with barrels yoked upon our shoulders, when he first attempted to make merry with me. So, Lazarus, how did he know my name? How are you liking the river so far? Seems decent, I mumbled. He was a year or two older than me, but his eyes were much younger. He had a thick and wild mess of straw-colored hair about him that almost fell over his eyes in the front. I would later find out that he was the son of a Scottish frontier preacher who had been apprenticed to a cooper in Massachusetts, who he claimed treated him worse than a South Carolinian treats a rice slave, and ran away to work the river. Despite his lack of formal education past the age of 8 or 9, he knew how to read and write well, and he would come to teach me both, but that's a story for another time. Well, let me tell you, I've been on this river for, gosh, must be, he counted on his fingers, precariously shifting the weight of the sacks of flax he was carrying. 5 years now. He said it with pride, as if each voyage from the Grants to the Sound had earned him a higher seat in heaven. An older man came up next to him. Oi, Georgie, stop talking the kid's ear off. You'll not tell me what to do, Sam. He's lonesome. It's Mr. Sam to you, you feckin' brat. I got 20 years on you, boy. Yeah, and I got 30 years worth of smarts on you, you dumb cove. The captain. Oi, lads, you best get to sop in the fire, for I may a sop. Oh, lads, how goes thou? I'm fine, sir. The whole-blooded imbeciles ain't bothering you, are they? No, sir. Thank you, sir. Very well. Now you feckin' lost best get to all in these here products we was paid to all. The river approaching Springfield was not the twisting, hungry, roiling beast we had known in the most recent stretch, but now had become a wide, smooth, pacific thing, undulating us toward that glowing hub of economy with its inscrutable peristalsis. I was sitting at the back, my unstockinged feet dragging through the freezing channel when we docked. Almost as soon as I felt the jolt of our ceasing momentum, the captain was on shore, speaking in his enigmatic way to some merchant who summoned his men and began to unload a good portion of our cargo before I could right myself and leave the craft. George found me on the dock and, feeling it his duty for some reason to explain to me every tenet of the river trade in which I harbored all but the most microscopic grains of interest, began to speak at me unprompted. Now, what they're doing here, Lazarus, is exchanging some of our stuff that we procured up near Brattleboro, if you remember. Oh, wait, you hadn't joined us yet until a few miles south of the Tremonton Pools. Well, and anyway, they're trading some of our old stuffs for some stuffs they want sent down to Connecticut, chiefly iron this time of year anyway. I'm sure he continued, in his valiant but vain attempts to enrich my dull homesteader's mind with the intricacies of riparian commerce and mercantilism and the exchange rate between a New Hampshire pound and a Spanish dollar and what have you. But I stopped listening. I felt a bit villainous at that, because he seemed so proud of what he knew, and I could tell then his was the kind of brain so brilliant and hungry that it would take a deep hold of whatever Providence threw at it, and sink its teeth in, and go about learning that business and perfecting it, and tearing it apart, and rebuilding it, and perfecting it again. Sometime later, when all of the new cargo had been loaded onto the gondola, we made our way to an inn, where we could find sleep in a real bed for the first time in a long while. I know you've all been working hard to keep this old ship in working order, so I thought I'd treat you all to a round of liquor. The captain pulled a cracked leather coin purse from his pocket, counted out a few discs, handed them to the barkeep, and got for us all a glass of rum. I was hesitant, having never yet tasted anything stronger than ale, but the Indian, whose name I never learned, patted me on the back and grinned. I took a sip, and almost spat it out instantly as it burned my throat on the way down, but then, of course, each following sip seemed to come easier and easier. The young black, Jim, started then to lead us in song. I've ever been jolly and daisy, and rare have I needed a foe. While some after dollars run crazy, I happily rosin the bow. Some young lads go yelping for fashions, some new thing seems now all the go. But having no boiling passions, my lemma was rosin the bow. Don't worry, boy, said Jim, noticing my tiredness at this third portage. This will be the last haul. Last haul for him, anyway, interrupted Sam. For us, it's back up and down, fecking up and fecking down till our arms fall off. This doesn't seem so bad, I said. Well, you only been downriver, instructed Jim. Upriver makes downriver look like an easy dream. Don't remind me, said the quiet Indian. I can already feel the ache in me arms, Sam groaned. George came into the conversation now. This is exactly what I've been saying. We need to make the whole deal more efficient. Instead of pulling upriver every time, we could sell the boat for scrap in Saybrook, get hired on a ship bound for Boston. The captain interrupted him before he could finish his scheme. Boston? 5 years on the river turns you right mad, Georgie. To him, Boston might as well have been as far away as London or Peking or the Congo. The river, this river, was what they knew, what they breathed. And then I firmly understood that George Hay Jr. was destined for much greater things than being the cook on a Connecticut River flatboat. I just didn't yet know I'd be dragged along with him. We had docked in Hartford for the night, and I was sleeping with George in the inn. I, not having any cash to my name, and nobody else being eager to share lodgings with me. It seemed he relished the opportunity to talk with me, although I, regrettably, was a bad partner. Say, Lazarus, what's your favorite book? I've only read the Bible, and then it was read to me. Well, do you know your letters? No, I shook my head. Shame to bring a boy up in this age without teaching him his letters, he muttered, sincerely, almost crossly. How'd you come to the knowledge? My pa is a preacher for the Presbytery, the Scottish set, out in the western country. He went to college and everything. Teached me all I came to know about books and the letters there enclosed. He took from his effects a little slate, rimmed in wood, and a white stick of chalk, and began to scratch out the form I'd now recognize as an A. This one we call A, he said, not patronizingly, earnestly, thoughtfully driven. It represents the sound ah. He pointed to the board. This here is its capital form, which we place at the start of phrases, nouns, names, and places. He pointed again to a curved shape beside it. And this is its lower form, which we use in other contexts. This really isn't necessary, I started, frankly wanting nothing more than to close my eyes and forget about the world for a few hours. Oh, yes, it is, Lazarus, he replied. In this age of reason, can it? I yelled, forgetting myself, and rolled over in the bed. He sounded hurt, but tried to mask it in his voice, overcompensating with an overly bold tone. That's all right, then. I heard him wiping the slate and packing it away. We can always finish up later. If only either of us had known. Towards Saybrook, the smell of salt became apparent to us, and the river widened more than I had thought possible of a river. It had a feeling much more like a sea in that stretch. Eventually, we approached the dock, and I was ready, though anxious, to begin this new chapter. Standing on the street, I could see my aunt, whom I hadn't glanced for years, but whose countenance was unmistakably like my mother's. Mr. Baker, I supposed, had sent word some time ago, but had not told me of it. I stood up, and the crew wished me happiness, prosperity, and all the rest. George gave me a firm handshake, and lamented that this would likely be the final time we would see each other. Hey, I remarked, it's a small world. You never know. With this, I stepped onto the shore, came up to my aunt, and embraced her.